welcome everybody. Hello. I recognize so many names today. Saw some of you on Tuesday. Welcome back. It's so good to see you all. We're going to let people get settled in. Welcome, welcome. Hello. Thank you for joining us again. We know that well, hopefully it's summer for most of you. I know some of our teacher friends are not in summer yet, so we are sad for you. But thank you for choosing to join us today. We so appreciate that you're choosing to spend your time with us. Thank you. We're settled in. We'll give this just a few more, maybe another minute. Let people join. And while we're waiting, if you'd like to go ahead and toss an introduction of yourself in a chat, that is just fine. Tell us where you're joining us from. Hello, Emil. It's good to see you. Hello, hello. I always feel like every summer, this is probably the favorite part of my job, when I actually get to start meeting teachers. And I know it's virtual, but I'm still meeting you and we're getting to know each other. And I love this. Absolutely love it. So welcome everybody. Hey, Mark. Hey, it's good to see you, Mark. And awesome. Let everybody get settled in. I'm feeling very froggy today. I do not have all of the smoke here. I've got only a little bit of it, so I think it doesn't take much. So hello to Florida. Hello. I'm trying to remember where everybody's at. Oh, we've got some international attendees. Thank you so much for attending. I know time zones are killer, so to be here in person, I am impressed. So if you're not, is anybody else having audio issues? It looks like most people are hearing us okay. If you are having any audio issues, you might want, if it helps to jump out and then come back in, we'll definitely get you back into the workshop, no worries. And if you're having audio issues, you can't hear that. So if somebody could add that into the chat for me, that would be great. Sometimes I'm a little slow. So, awesome. Perfect. Travis, thank you for verifying that you're hearing us. Oh, cool. Mark, I love that idea. So I'm just glancing through chat a little bit. Mark mentioned that you would like to use the Intro to Python course with auto grading. Absolutely, I wouldn't use it without. As a starting point for building a course with customized problems, including revising the auto grading. Yes, that is so doable. So we won't get into really building auto graders today, but we can absolutely get you some resources to help you get started with that. And we're going to talk about customization today too. And so we'll definitely, I think you are at the perfect workshop right now to get you started on that, in that direction. So perfect. Hey, hello to Iowa. Welcome, welcome. All right. Oh, we got a few more people joining. As you're all joining and tossing your introductions into chat, and feel free to let us know what you're looking for, because if we can hit that during this workshop, we definitely will, or we'll start it. But we can also follow up with you to make sure you get the information you need. We want to make sure that we are here to help you prep for your next school year. So, and for anybody who is just joining us, maybe for the first time in a CodeHS workshop, my name is Lori, and I'm a senior PD specialist here at CodeHS. I am very, very fortunate to get to do these summer workshops, and thrilled to be here with you. And I'm also fortunate that I am joined by so many other people, including CodeHS team members and our fabulous teacher trainer, Sean. But I have a lot of team members with me. We've got Anna from the support team joining us as well. And Anna is one of the people you may have talked to if you've ever written into support. She's so fast. I seriously cannot explain how much I appreciate our support team and how fast they are with helping teachers. So Anna, thanks for being here today. And we've also got Robin, who's another PD team member, and she is going to be hanging out with us and helping us as well through this workshop. Hey, Robin. And we have our fabulous teacher trainer, Sean Raser, with us today as well. Sean,
right.
I include you in so many of my presentations. I have your quotes. And then I loved it. I don't think I've told you that before, that you have no idea how many times your name comes up. So Sean is one of our fabulous CodeHS educators, CS teacher, teacher trainer. And Sean, I just generally think of you as a good friend at this point. So I'm so glad you can be here today.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I'm so glad you all can be here with us today to hear Sean's words of wisdom. So let's go ahead and jump in and get started today. So you have all joined the deeper dive into CodeHS workshop, and we have got some slides for you. So if you would like to grab, and it might be easier for you to grab the QR code, so we'll leave it here for a second if you want to take a picture of it or scan that real quick. Or you can browse to codehs.com/deeper-dive-slides to access the slides today. I will be sending out a follow-up email with all of the resources and the recording, probably tomorrow morning. As fast as I can get it out to you, I will. All right. And let's go ahead and go to the next slide, Sean. So we had the slides link, but now I do have the doc that has all of the links. And if we start discovering other links, I think I forgot to mention this to Robin and Anna. If there are other links that are relevant, go ahead and toss those right onto this link doc. And that way we can curate them there. So you can browse to codehs.com/deeper-dive-links for all of the workshop links that we'll be using today. You can also scan that QR code. There we go. All right, let's go ahead and head to the next slide. All right, so I've already had you start throwing your introductions into chat. Oh, I love it. I love seeing it when teachers start to make connections with each other in chat as well. That is so cool. And by the way, I'm sort of close-ish to Iowa. So just a neighbor in the northeastern part of South Dakota. But I've gotten to come to Iowa a few times this year for some different events and just to visit. So super excited that you're joining us today. But go ahead, feel free to toss anything you'd like in chat. And by the way, while I'm thinking about it, we do have the Q&A enabled as well in this workshop. So we really want to make sure that we do not lose your questions. So if you've got specific questions that you want us to focus on or answer during this workshop, or if we can't answer during the workshop, we can absolutely come back around and make sure we get that answered for you afterwards. If you could toss those into the Q&A section, that would be so very, very helpful for us. So feel free to use chat. We absolutely want you to be engaged, but definitely throw those questions in the Q&A for us. Hey, Sally. Okay, Sally, you didn't mention that. The America's oldest brewery. I can't get the word out of my mouth. So apparently I need to go to Pottsville. I think that's where I'm coming next, road trip. I'll let you know when I'm in town. Cool. Very nice. All right, let's go ahead and head to the next slide. So what we're going to be taking a look at today are a few different things. We're going to take another dive into a CodeHS lesson. If you were with us on Tuesday, you would have gotten to see Robin go through one of our CodeHS lessons in the one of the Carol lessons for Intro to CS and JavaScript. This time you're going to get to take a look at an introductory Python lesson. And Sean's going to talk about some different ways to approach the lesson, and we can start thinking about possible modifications too, and different planning strategies. And then we're going to take a look at some course customization. Sean's going to walk us through some of the customization pieces. And then I'm going to show you a few other things you can do in terms of customization as well. And then we're going to take a look at the sandbox and real-time collaboration. Some of you may have tried that before, and it's an amazing tool. And if you haven't tried it recently, we've actually changed up the way it works a little bit. So we want to make sure everybody knows how to use that. That's going to be a really awesome tool as well. So let's go ahead and hit the next slide.
Oops, one more. There we go.
No problem. So if you are just joining us for the first time and you do not have a CodeHS account yet, please browse to codehs.com/sign-up to create an account. Takes just a minute or two. If you are signing up for the first time today, be aware that we do verify all teacher accounts. So it takes just a little bit before you get to see all the things like solutions and all of that good stuff. But I'm betting if you do sign up for the first time and you're dying to see that info, if you send Anna a quick message in chat, I bet she'd be more than happy to verify you pretty quickly. Thanks, Anna. I didn't ask you about that. I just thought, Anna will do it for us. All right. So if you do not, or if you do have a CodeHS account, we really want you to sign in, or go ahead and finish setting up your account. And then let's go to the next slide. And you can browse to this link, codehs.com/go/D14B0 to enroll in our workshops section for today. And Anna just tossed that into chat for us, so you can click it there. You will want to be signed into CodeHS before you click that link. And also, it's okay if you cannot enroll today. But once you do enroll in the workshop section, in just a little bit, I'm going to be setting up some demo sections for you. There's going to be barking occurring. Give me 1 second. There we go. Okay. So, very smooth, right? So go ahead and sign into your accounts. Click on the link in chat to join the workshop section. As soon as you join that section, or as soon as I stop talking, I will check to see who's in the section. Anybody who is enrolled will get a demo account to play with today. So if you want to try out some of the customization features, you can try it out there instead of in one of your actual courses. And I'm going to take a quick peek before we go on, maybe, and see how we're doing. Pretty fast. Usually you all are so very fast. By the time I actually get that pulled up, you're all in the section. Oh yeah, that is filling up nicely. Perfect. And if you have any problems either with signing up for an account, signing into your account, or maybe enrolling in that workshop section, no worries at all. You can always just drop us a message in chat or send a message into the Q&A also, that's fine. And we can help you with that. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next slide. One more link, because there's a million links. So we definitely want you to be able to get a certificate for attending today. So to do that, go ahead and click on the link that Anna just tossed into chat, codehs.com/deeperdive-attend. That is going to let me send you a certificate right after this session today. One thing to keep in mind is that sometimes the certificates might go to spam. They typically come from, they shouldn't go to spam, but sometimes they come from the hello@codehs.com account instead of from me. So that's something to watch for. If you don't see it by later this evening, go ahead and send me a note and I will definitely get that for you. Which reminds me, I don't recall if I sent you the links if you were at the first one, so I'll do that too. So if you didn't get one, that's on me. I'll send those right now. All right. And I think this concludes my yammering at the beginning, and I am going to pass this over to my good friend and colleague, Sean. Take it away.
All right. Thank you so much, Lori. I appreciate the kind words and introduction. Welcome, everyone, to this workshop. I'm excited to be with you here today and just to share some of my experience with CodeHS. Just a little bit of background about myself. I've been teaching computer science for about 10 years now, and I've been teaching CS principles the whole time, and I've been using CodeHS for probably the last six or 7 years or so. When I first started, I kind of bounced around some of the different curriculums trying to see what was available. And I came across CodeHS actually when I was looking for some AP exam review material. And I just ended up really liking the content, the website, the feel. I've had great experience with just the company and, people like Lori, and it's just been a great experience. So I haven't really looked back since then. So what we're going to be talking about today is kind of some of the I don't want to call them more advanced, but some of the kind of into deeper details about things you can do with CodeHS. There's still so much, even after 6 or 7 years, there's so much that I'm learning every single year, and things I haven't even used yet. So it's a really comprehensive curriculum, and it really can fit, any need and be tailored to really be used however you want to. So we're gonna focus on some of those features that allow you to really customize this and allow you to fit it to however you need to use it for your classroom. So real quickly, I just want to talk about just some of the content that's available for you with CodeHS. There's a very comprehensive catalog of courses. I'm not going to go through each and every single one. That would take the whole entire workshop. But if you go to this link, you can just kind of sort through and see some of the different courses that are available. They've got courses all the way from intro courses at the middle school level, even some for elementary appropriate ages, all the way up to AP content for high school courses. These are all completely free to use. All of the courses themselves are available with the free plan. And there is, just to let you know, there is a pro version that you can get as well. Almost all the features that we're going to be talking about today are part of the free plan. But there are a couple, we'll make sure to make note of it whenever there's a feature we talk about that's part of the pro course. We'll definitely let you know. You can see here that this is just some of the different examples of courses that you could complete a whole entire pathway from, all the way from 6th grade all the way through high school. They've got a variety of languages that you can use, Python, JavaScript. They've got some integration with physical computing. They've got some AI content that's coming out, cybersecurity. They've got block coding. So really a huge variety of content. A lot of these courses are aligned with, obviously some of the big ones, CSTA, the K-12 CS. They've also got different state alignments that you can go through, and depending on what state you're in, you can go through and see how they align with your own particular state standards as well. All right, so that's, again, I know we kind of breezed through that quickly, but that's something you can spend a lot of time exploring. So what we're going to look at is how to kind of handle a lesson and really plan for a lesson in your classroom using CodeHS. So we're going to be looking at this lesson, and now this is all in the course that you have access to. If you look in here, it's right down in here. This should be what the course. This is what the students see when they're logged in. So what you're seeing right now is kind of the student view. And we're going to be looking at this lesson called Tracy's Grid World. Okay, so there's kind of two ways that we're going to look at this. We're obviously going to be going through it as teachers looking at this, but as you're planning a lesson and you're thinking about how you're going to be presenting this to the students, it's always important to think about what it's like to go through it as a student. How are the students going to look at it? And that's one thing I like about CodeHS is when you're in your account, you can actually toggle between the teacher view and the student view. So when you're in the teacher view, you have access to all of the more administrative tools that allow you to do things like customize and modify and change around the way the course looks. But when you're in the student view, you can actually go through each of these and see what the students are actually going to see. You can see I've got a lot of courses in here, but this is the one that we're going through right now. So this is what the students see when they log into CodeHS and they're working through the lesson. So the one we're going to be looking at again is this Tracy's Grid World. All right, so the way that each lesson is broken down in CodeHS is it's broken down into different, I call them activities. And you can see that each activity here has a different icon, right? So we've got, each lesson starts out with a video. Then there's a short quiz to check for understanding. There's some examples, and then there's some exercises, which are where the students actually go through and complete the work. So for the video, right, the video is meant to be a kind of an introduction to the content. It's not, the videos aren't terribly long. They're, anywhere from 1 to 3 minutes, sometimes a little bit longer, but students these days can't, they're not going to watch 20-minute videos. So that's something I like, is that all the videos are relatively short. So they give a quick overview to the content that's going to be presented in that lesson. And then once the students complete the video, there's a short quiz, usually 1 to 3 questions. It's a multiple choice quiz that is a quick check for understanding for them. It basically, sometimes it's programming questions, or, it might be about, like in CSP, we have some non-programming topics. It might be questions about those topics, but it's basically some short check for understanding questions. Then after that, the examples usually show the students what they've just seen actually being applied. So for example, a sample program that would, in this case, it's this is talking about having Tracy the turtle draw some things on the canvas. And so this one, Tracy's going to be creating a dashed line. Now, some lessons have more than one example. They could have 2 or 3, depending on how complex the content is. But this one just has one example. And then after that, you get into the exercises. And this is really the kind of the meat of the lesson. This is where the students are actually writing their own programs and applying what they've just learned in the content. So in this case, you're going to have Tracy's going to be creating some shorter dash lines, as well as drawing some circles in a pattern to make a caterpillar. So that's the typical breakdown of a lesson, right? Video, quiz, example, exercises. And some of them have badges at the end where the students can get a badge. Now, the nice thing about all of these courses is that you don't have to keep the lessons that way. If you want to modify them, if you want to, reorder them or take some content out or add some additional stuff in, then that's all stuff that you can do with CodeHS. So in the course that you all have access to, you can see that there's this modified lesson right here, which this is one that Lori actually went through and modified and added to show it as an example of what one of your lessons might look like if you wanted to change it around a little bit. It's different teachers have different kind of methods for or different kind of approaches for how to start the classroom. They might have a warm-up or a quick activity to get the students engaged before jumping right into the content. Some teachers like to put the quiz at the end of everything, or sometimes even at the beginning of the next lesson as kind of a refresher to make sure that the students have retained everything that they've seen from the previous lesson. So all of these activities can be moved around and changed however you see fit. You know, for me personally, I like to use the videos as kind of an introduction to the content. You know, I don't expect the students to be experts of the content after just watching the short video. So usually I'll have them watch it either, you know, on their own or together with their partner in the classroom, and then look at the examples. But then before they start the exercises, we'll actually go through some of them together. We might go back and actually walk through some of the examples. You know, I might intentionally throw some bugs into the examples and have them do a debugging activity, or we might go through the exercise, the first exercise together. So there's a lot of, again, it's really it's easy to customize it to fit whatever approach or format you want to take for your lesson. Now, in, you know, as with any lesson, you always want to make sure that you understand, that you know what prior knowledge the students have to have coming into it. And so within CodeHS, each of the activities includes a lesson plan. I want to just go through real quick and show where you can access that. So I'm going back into the teacher link. Let me go this one, yeah. Sorry, I've got to get in here. Here we go.
Actually, go ahead and go back. If you click the back button and then click assignments at the top.
Oh, that's, yeah.
It's
that's
so
what I was looking
easy
for.
to get lost, I know.
I know. Yeah, right here. So you want to get this expanded view when you click on assignments. So when you click on assignments, this is really where this is kind of your starting point for customizing all of the content in your course. You know, you can see here that this is where you can edit, you can reorder modules that are in here, you can add additional content, and you can also go in and customize each of the single activities in here. But the lesson plans is what I was looking for, and this kind of magenta icon here, for each activity, there's a lesson plan included. So you can see here, I'm just going to click on the one for Tracy's Grid World. And you've got, you know, it's got the objectives. So it tells you what the students should be able to do after completing the lesson. So in this case, you know, locating Tracy on the coordinate plane, using some different commands within the program. It's got all of the different activities. And you can see here that you can actually go through and you can print out the slides of the video or view the slides. Now, just so you know, anything that has this icon here, the Pro icon, that means that it's a Pro feature. So some of these, like printing the slides and viewing the slides, are Pro features. You've got solution references. So for each of the exercises, for all the programs, there's solutions that are included for you. I know this was really helpful for me when I first started teaching computer science. I didn't have a CS background. I was a math teacher, and I was new, and I kind of got thrown into it, and you know, I kind of learned along with the students. So having these solutions, even to this day, you know, even though I'm very familiar now with the content, having the solutions is really helpful to be able to quickly take a glance if you know, I'm having trouble debugging something or you know, helping a student out. They've got problem guides, key vocabulary words. There's any handouts. These are all things that you can use if you want to supplement the content there. Again, the nice thing about this is that this is all just available if you want it. You know, they've got suggestions for activities with timelines. They talk about the prior knowledge, so what content the student should know ahead of time going into the lesson. Again, slides for the video, kind of warm-ups and exit ticket ideas, as well as the mapping for different standards down here. So you can see each lesson plan is very thorough in here. So again, as you're planning, each lesson, this is a great tool to kind of come and pick and choose what information you might need from it. What I found is as I've gone through the course and used them, year after year, I've become very familiar with each of the lessons. And so when I was first starting with CodeHS, this was a huge resource for me. I was in here almost before every single class, looking at different ideas, seeing what, handouts or activities or what different things I could do with the students. But as I've gone through it, over and over, I find that I kind of now have my routine down where I, really am familiar with the content. And so, at the beginning, it's definitely something that I highly recommend to any, especially new teacher, to CodeHS. So let me go back. I know I got a little sidetracked from the slides. So, again, as I'm thinking about how I'm going to approach a lesson with the students, again, getting back to that prior knowledge. So understanding what students, what they need to know ahead of time. Sometimes this, I'll do something like a warm up, have maybe a program from a previous lesson that incorporates the prior knowledge. And I'll have the students complete that with their partners, or I'll have some questions for them so I can kind of get a feel for where everyone's at prior to starting the lesson itself. Again, with this, in this particular lesson we're going through, this is what the students are going to be accomplishing, right? They're going to be creating this dashed line using a combination of some new commands for them. So the pen up, pen down, and the backward command to go ahead and achieve this. So I know I've already talked a little bit about this, but when it comes to the content itself, there's a lot of different ways that you can deliver this. I look at this as kind of a blended model, with the way that we've got the videos as well as the hands-on exercise. It's kind of a combination of, CodeHS has the material to present to the students, and they can watch the videos either on their own time or in class. So, I'm at my school, we work on the block schedule. So we have 90-minute classes. And so for me, I'm able to get through a number of each lesson, usually like 2 or 3 lessons per class period. But I know other teachers that are on a kind of standard schedule with 40 or 45-minute class periods. They might only be able to get through 1 or 1.5 lessons each day. So it's just going to kind of depend on your own situation. But the way that I approach it is, I usually, again, assign a set number of lessons, based on where we're at, and the students, they start watching the videos, and I usually let them work together with a partner or someone else in class as they work through the examples and the exercises. So this could be an example of how the lesson's actually broken down. You could have an opener for the class. So you could ask the students, what are some things that you've noticed about Tracy's world? Tracy's world is this canvas, right? And Tracy is this turtle who can move around the world given different commands from the students. Have the students think about, where does Tracy start every time you run a program? So then you get them to start thinking about the coordinates of the world. And, when the program starts, you have to think about where Tracy is in relation to where you want the lines to be. So they have to factor that into it. So having some sort of opener is nice to get the students focused and engaged, especially if it's a morning class. I find those first or second period students, are still a little sleepy. So having some sort of engaging opener is always a great way to get everyone involved. And then from from the opener, you could go into the video. You know, when you watch the video, I'm not going to play the whole video here. That's, you've got access to it that you can watch. You know, but the video goes through, and in this case, kind of goes through the coordinates, talks about where the origin is in Tracy's world. You know, the students get familiar with the, oops, I think I clicked on that accidentally. Sorry. There we go. The students get familiar with the coordinate system, you know, and using, you know, positive and negative numbers to move Tracy around depending on what they want to accomplish. Now, the examples, you know, the examples are something that so in my experience, when I assign lessons to the students, they tend to breeze through things quickly and jump right to the exercises. You know, they start to realize that all the exercises are where they're actually going to be programming, and so sometimes they just want to zip through all the beginning stuff to get to those exercises as quickly as possible. What I've seen though is that I'll have, you know, tons of students asking me questions about things that were covered in the example that they would have seen if they would have just spent a little more time looking at the examples. So these are something that I've tried different things. Like I think I mentioned earlier, you know, sometimes when I'm going through this in the classroom with the students, I'll actually go through the examples together as a class, or I'll have the students go through the examples together with their partner, and I'll ask them some questions about the example, or I'll have them modify the example a little bit just to show that they've actually been using it. And what I found is if the students spend a little more time on the examples and take the time to read through it and understand what's going on, it really helps them out on the exercises. I find that they're much more successful initially on the exercises than if they just skip right to the exercises themselves. So you know, that's definitely something to think about, is you know, how to incorporate the examples, or if, you know, finding a way to get the students to spend some time on them rather than just assigning the lesson and letting them go through it at their own pace. Because I think, again, many students tend to just skip them. And then once you get done with the examples, then you've got the exercises themselves. And in this case, this is what Tracy's going to be completing. Tracy's going to be creating this shorter dashed line and this caterpillar. Now, in the example, you can see that Tracy was creating this kind of longer dashed line, right? There's 10 dashes, each dash is 20 pixels long. And the first exercise is almost the same program, but it's just shorter dashes. And you'll find as you go through the activities that many exercises are like that. They're very similar to what the students have seen either in the video or the examples. And so it's very scaffolded. It's you know, the students get a lot of support as they're going through this. You know, but then, for example, this second exercise, the students are still taking a lot of the key points from the first exercise, right? The same, having Tracy move across, having Tracy repetitively do some action, but they've got to change that around. It's not just changing some of the numerical values like you do in this one. Here, they've actually got to use some different commands and have to think about, you know, how big the radius should be and how far the movement should be. So in a lot of the lessons, they kind of gradually get a little more difficult as the students go through the exercises. Now, something nice, you know, at the end, again, it's, you know, everyone's familiar with exit tickets. I like you know, having the students complete some sort of activity at the end, you know, as they finish up the class or the lesson. You know, an example for this one could just be asking some questions about Tracy's world to make sure they understand you know, how the coordinates are set up. Where's the origin? So, asking what's the height and width of Tracy's world, or what are two things that we need to know in order to describe Tracy's location? Just asking some simple questions and having the students submit them at the end is just a quick way to kind of just confirm that they've retained the content that they just were presented with throughout the lesson. Again, you see, in this one, there's some new commands that they learned. They learned how to move Tracy forward, a specified distance. They learned how to draw a circle of a given radius. They learned how to move Tracy backwards, a specific distance. So these are, in this case, they're learning these new commands through the completion of those exercises. So you've got, again, there's, what we're going through today are just some suggestions of ways to use the videos or the slides or the content. But, what I found is by kind of going through this and trying different approaches, I've found what works for me in my setup with my classroom and my schedule. But, I think every teacher is going to kind of find different ways to use this that's applicable and relevant to their situation. As I mentioned, I've done both of these with the videos. I've had the students watch them individually. I've assigned them for homework. So they watch the videos and then come into class, having watched them. We've on some topics, ones that I think are particularly important. Sometimes we'll watch the video together. I'll put it up on the projector screen. We'll watch it and then talk about it before moving on. So you've got a lot of different options for how you assign the videos. You can incorporate other programs like Edpuzzle. You can add the video into your LMS. I know CodeHS has some different integration with different learning management systems. I would have to defer to Lori to know the specific ones, but if you have any questions on your particular LMS, definitely send a message in the chat and they can help you out with that. I know I've mentioned slides a couple times. All of the videos that they have in CodeHS are also available as slideshows. So you can also go through, if you go back here, right, you can see that you've got the slides available. So if you wanted to kind of go deeper into the content rather than just assigning it for the students, you could decide to go through the slides together as a class, just like you would a typical lesson where you're presenting some sort of content to the class. Some different activities for the examples. Again, you could have the students go through the examples together. Like I mentioned earlier, you could give them different tasks to do with each example. You could have them modify it a particular way or make changes. Sometimes what I've done is I put up the examples on the screen in front of the class and I'll intentionally add bugs at different points. And I'll ask the students to take a look at the program together with their partners, talk about what bugs or what they think is going to happen when I run the program. And then we'll kind of walk through that process together. So, the examples are, again, a great tool that I think, again, they sometimes get overlooked if the students are kind of on their own going through it. So I definitely encourage you to think about ways that you can incorporate these examples into your lessons. And the exercises themselves, again, these are the really important. This is where the students are demonstrating their understanding of the content, but really getting that programming experience. So, these exercises are really key for the students to be able to complete. You've got the option of doing pair programming with the students if you want. You can have them do it individually. I kind of incorporate both of these, into my class. When the students when we're in the classroom, I let the students do almost all their work together with their partner. the way I've got my lab set up, we've got rows of computers with 4 students in each row. So basically 2 pairs of students per row. And all of the programming, with the exception of some assessments or larger projects, I let them do together. I found that it really helps keep them engaged. It can be helpful for them to bounce ideas. I've seen a lot of benefits of the pair programming model, and so when they're in the classroom, I definitely incorporate that. Now, obviously, when they're at home, there's it's a little harder to do the pair programming. So most of those assignments that they take home are mostly done individually, although I still find that students will set up a group chat sometimes and talk through each other. You'll see a little later today, there are some collaborative options too in CodeHS that can help students work together. So just because they go home to work on the assignment doesn't mean that they have to always do it by themselves. So you've got lots of different options with how they can actually complete the exercises. Each course has a syllabus. This is just an image of the link, but I think someone can drop it in the chat if you wanted to see the syllabis, or
Anna
to
just
access
dropped
it
it in the chat, so you can grab
Oh,
it.
perfect. Yeah. And it's at, where is it? It's up, is there an easy way to get to the syllabus? I haven't accessed that in a long time.
It's under resources.
It's somewhere.
It might be a slightly better.
I think so. I've, when you go through the syllabus, for my class, I have to submit it to the College Board each year just for the course auditing. But the syllabus is great because it gives you a pacing breakdown for each unit. It gives you an example of how long it's going to take to go through. Here you can see unit 1, half a week to go through 2 hours. I know over the summertime, I know as teachers, it's as much as I try to focus on detaching from school, I'm always in the back of my mind thinking about my next class. So, having this pacing is really helpful to kind of get an idea of roughly how long to spend on each unit. Now, again, as you start going through this on your own, these are just suggestions, and you might find that one topic takes a little longer, or maybe your students have a lot of prior knowledge and a topic, it doesn't take as long. So, these are always just kind of rough estimates that can always be modified and adjusted however needed. Again, I showed the lesson plan already, but again, you can see that each lesson plan is broken down. It's got suggested timeframes. Some of them have handouts or offline assignments, unplugged assignments that you can do as well. Some other things that are, again, in the lesson plans, suggested discussion questions, openers, closers, suggestions for structuring the lesson, pacing, solution references, all sorts of helpful information that can really help out with planning your lessons. And again, you can see that at the bottom of each lesson plan, it shows the standards that are assigned to that particular lesson. In this case, it's the CSTA ones. Okay, so I know we kind of went through a lot of different options for how to use the resources that are already included in CodeHS, but you can also incorporate your own activities from outside of CodeHS into your lessons. You could add some different polls. If you wanted to ask the students some questions and get some feedback from them, you can incorporate those. You could add different quizzes. You can create your own CodeHS quiz. You could use third-party apps like Quizlet or Quizzes, Kahoot, and integrate those in there as well. You can see on this graphic right here, it shows you how to go through. I can actually go in and show you in a little more detail. Let me go back. So when you're in here, right, you can see that for each lesson, you've got lots of different options here. You know, you could assign it to other courses if you wanted to, but here, if you wanted to add a new assignment, this is how you could go through and add new content to each of your lessons. If you wanted to reorder it, I know in one of the examples, we talked about having the quiz either at the beginning of the next lesson or at the end of the lesson. You could go through and change the order or move to a different module or remove altogether. You know, if there's something that you find is redundant or it doesn't apply, you can always just take it out. So in this assignment page right here, again, when you can see all of the content, this is where you really have a lot of flexibility for customizing the class to fit your needs. And you can see you can do that not only with each individual activity, but with the lesson itself. Even the units, you could add new lessons to the units. You could add new units to your course. You know, it's really a lot of flexibility, which is something that I really, really appreciate. You know, in addition to the polling and the quizzes, you could have other activities that you can incorporate. Free response questions, Flipgrid, you know, have the students create videos that they post. And, you know, it's really with all the different ed tech that's out there, you've got lots of different ways that you can integrate that into your CodeHS lessons. So I know I kind of spent a lot of time talking about how the lessons are broken down and just sharing some ways that I've used the lessons. But what are, I'd be curious to get some feedback, maybe if you want to share in the chat, what are some routines that you use in your classroom that you think can be used in a CodeHS classroom? Like, for example, like intros or bell ringers, videos, examples, exercises. I want to just take a minute to see if we can get some feedback from suggestions of things that you either think would be useful or things that you currently use that could be helpful. I'll take a second to look at the chat now. So I just want to say, I know I just am looking at the chat and I see that there's been a couple, I think a couple people have sent some direct questions to me. You may, if you have questions, it's probably best to post those in the group just so Lori or Anna can answer those, you know, while I'm talking, because I'm not always good about monitoring the chat as I'm going through. So Stan, I think you had a question about integrating with Canvas. Lori, do you know, does CodeHS integrate with Canvas?
So CodeHS does integrate with Canvas. It
okay.
is a district feature, and so it's outside of the pro plan as well. So if you're interested in a Canvas integration, we could definitely connect you with somebody to talk more about that. Some of the features, like, or some of the other platforms like Google Classroom, you definitely have some of those rostering capabilities and things like that. Clever as well. So but yeah, Canvas, Schoology, some of those are a much bigger integration. So, but yeah, we can definitely connect you with that.
Nice. And I'm seeing some good suggestions in the chat. Google interactive notebooks with partners, great. Stand-in talks, anything collaborative. Awesome. Nice, Melissa. I see, yeah. Oh, you found the syllabus in the course catalog. Yes, that's a great place to find that. Good.
I'm not sure when question of the day restarts, and I'm not sure if we have that schedule, but we can find out more info for you. Sorry, Sean. I cut you off.
No. That's perfect. So we're gonna take a few minutes right now to set you up in some breakout rooms to give you a chance to talk with each other. Again, I know I've kind of been talking this whole time, but we want to have you share some information with each other. So I think Lori or Anna's going to set up some breakout rooms, but what we want you to do is chat a little bit with your group about these questions. So have you used CodeHS lessons in your classroom? If so, how have you used them? Or what are some unique ways that you can see yourself using the lessons with your students? So really just a short discussion about either how you've used the lessons or how you think you might be able to use the lessons in your classrooms. And Lori, how long do you want to take for this?
Let's see, we've got a few things that we want to share yet, so we'll maybe take 10 minutes tops, maybe 8 minutes to discuss. If we need a little bit more time, we can always change that too. So, and I did drop that link for the Padlet. Let me find it so you don't have to search for it. So if you'd like to curate any ideas, you can definitely do that with the Padlet link that I just dropped there, codehs.com/resources-ideas. And that will not go away. That will persist long beyond this workshop. So, all right, so I'm going to go ahead and open up the breakout rooms. I also forgot to take out hosts. So host, you can decide to hang back if you like, and we can always visit rooms later. And I'm going to go ahead and open these.
Awesome.
I think everybody should see a pop-up. If you're not seeing the pop-up to join your room, you can click on breakout rooms at the bottom of your screen, and that should show you which room you have been invited to. We'll make sure nobody is alone in a room, because that is just a sad feeling, isn't it? And I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording for right now.
I see. All right, welcome back. I see people coming back into the rooms or into the main room. So hopefully everyone was able to have some good productive discussions. I'll wait another 30 seconds or so till all the rooms close. Oh, it looks like 3, 2. Okay, it looks like they're all closed now. All right. Well, again, welcome back everyone to the main room. Again, I hope that you had some good productive discussions. So we are gonna take a short break in just a minute, but I did want to just ask. I know some people have been posting questions in the chat. I wanted to just take a second and see if there were any questions that anyone had so far that, about anything that we've gone over. You can either ask them in the chat, or if you want to unmute and ask it. I know, I think Sally, I think you had posted a question about something about the naming convention with programs. I wanted to just clarify exactly what you were asking about. Was it selecting the language in the sandbox?
It's if I'm designing a programming challenge, like my own programming challenge, I never knew. I always work in Python, but I never knew which one of the millions of options I needed. Like one time I was trying to design something and I didn't know there was a graphics thing that I needed, and I just didn't know. Like look at all those. Which one do you
mean?
pick?
Yeah. That's so. Yeah, those are all different option. So each language, some of them are C++ or SQL, not many options. But yeah, so with Python in particular, it all depends. Python's broken down into different libraries, and depending on which libraries are installed, you can do different things. So we were talking about Tracy the turtle, right? There's one that has turtle graphics built in. Python 3 is kind of the standard one, but that one does not have the graphics in it. So if you want to use graphics, it's usually the Python is the one I use. That's the one, at least for the course, the CSP course that I use in Python. All of the graphic programs are using Python.
Okay.
These are some other ones. Some students know, you know, the other one, the tkinter or Pygame, but those are kind of options that they would have to learn outside or you would, you know, you'd have to teach using other content. Python 2 is just an older version of Python 3. So I usually recommend using the most current one. But the two that I use the most are Python 3 or the graphics with Python.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let's see. Braden asked, are there some specific ways you incorporate AP classroom resources into your teaching? So, you know, yeah, so I teach AP CSP. And so obviously part of that course is a main part of it is getting the students ready for the AP test in May. So, you know, first of all, what I found is that just the CodeHS curriculum on its own is very comprehensive and it does a great job of preparing the students. There is a playlist that is in the AP CSP curriculum, the exam review, that has about 30 practice quizzes that are all broken down by topic, as well as a practice test. That's all within CodeHS. So from the AP classroom, the only resources that I've really used to supplement it with are just the practice tests. Like this year, for example, I had my students take the CodeHS practice test and we did the AP classroom practice test. Between those, they felt very confident going into the test. And the feedback I got afterwards is that they said they felt that it was easy based on the experience, you know, the prep that they had going into it. So that's really, maybe other teachers might be able to chime in if they've used more of the AP classroom resources, but that's really the only one I've used. Are there any other questions? Can you use CodeHS in an open-ended way for pure programming like in Replit? I mean, you could really, I haven't used it like that, but if you wanted to. Now, when you say like pure programming like in Replit, are you talking about like the ability to have them collaboratively work on the same program? Is that what you're referring to, Mark? Because if that's the case, yes, okay. We're actually gonna, a little bit later towards the end, we're gonna talk about the collaborative feature in the sandbox. And that's something that they can absolutely do. So I haven't used it with Replit, but I have used the collaborative feature in the sandbox numerous times. So I think that might answer your question, but if you still have a question after that, definitely let us know. All right, so just for the sake of time, I'm gonna move on, but continue. Any questions you have, definitely post them in the Q&A or the Padlet and we'll definitely get to. So before we take the break, I just want to talk about one other tool that's great for communication and feedback with the students. So there are there's two features that really help give immediate feedback to the students, but also allow them to communicate directly with you when they have questions. So you've got both conversations that you can have as well as help mode. So in each, when the students are in an exercise, when they're in an exercise, this is the menu that they have on the right-hand side. And actually I can, if I go in here to one of the, let's just go to this exercise right here. So this is what the students see when they're programming. And on the right-hand side, under here, they've got, under the More menu, they have this option for conversations. And they can communicate with you if they have questions, or you can communicate back. If you're going through their exercise and you have a question about something, you can respond in there. So it's a great way to have a two-way conversation with the students. Another way, you can also see this in your main course overview. When you see all the students listed, one of the icons that you can see is the little quote bubbles. You can click right on that to start a communication or a conversation with their students. So you can access it from within the programming page, but also directly from your main course overview. You can also send announcements. If, I've used this before when, for example, like if I've gotten a similar question from, numerous students about the same thing, then I see that, hey, this is something maybe I didn't do a good enough job preparing the students, or it's a common question that's coming up. I might send an announcement out that just kind of blasts whatever info that is to the entire section. So it's a great tool to communicate either individually with the students through conversations or through announcements. So I know we're a little more than halfway done. It's about, I'm on Pacific time, so it's about 10:14 here, 10:15. So Lori, we think like a 5-minute break?
Yes, I couldn't
Yeah,
find
okay.
my mouse.
No problem. I thought I lost you for a second.
Nope.
So we're gonna take about a 5-minute break if you need to refill your water or use the restroom. And let's say, so again, I'm on Pacific time, so 10:20 we'll continue back up.
That sounds good.
All right.
We'll see you all.
We'll see you in just a few minutes.
As everybody is coming back together, I'll just start mentioning right now that we did take a moment once you had enrolled in the workshop section to go ahead and set up some demo sections for you. So if you were enrolled in the section, I'm just going to take another quick peek. Looks like everybody who is in the section right now should have a demo section in your account. So if you sign into CodeHS or go to CodeHS as your teacher account, look in sections, you should see a section titled something like your first name demo section. So mine is called Lori's demo section, and it will have eight dedicated fake students, some less dedicated. But it's a really nice way to go in and try out some of the Pro tools if you don't have access to Pro. And it also is going to be a good place for you to try out some of the customization tools that Sean and I will be talking about today. So then you don't have to go in and actually customize and potentially, mess with a course that you actually want to use. You can try some new things in that. So if you don't see it, let us know, but it should be your first name section. Okay, Sean,
All right.
You are ready.
All right. Okay, welcome back. I hope everyone had a good break. So we're gonna go into course customization now. So we've talked a little bit about how you can customize the individual lessons or the activities themselves, but you can also completely customize your entire course, which I do this quite a bit for. So again, I teach AP CSP using Python, and I there's quite a few modules I add in from other places that I'll mention in a little bit. So again, from the assignments page, right? That's the same page that we showed where you can go in and make the changes to the individual lessons. You can also reorder the modules for the entire course. Again, if I go, when you go into here in the assignments, you can change, you can just drag if you want to put it in edit mode. You can drag and move these modules around if you want to change the order. That's an easy thing to do. You can also remove things. Again, if there's individual lessons, maybe there's a topic that, again, just your students might already have a lot of prior knowledge in there. You can remove individual activities or entire lessons or modules if you want to. So from that assignments page, you can really change around the look and the feel of the course. If you want to add additional content. So again, I know, so for CSP, there's a lot of supplemental materials. And so like for example, in this graphic right here, you can see that you can just go down and you can select which content you want to be included within your course. And you can select as many of the supplemental content as you want. I know for AP CSP, we start with some Carol content, which is kind of a simplified form of Python or JavaScript, depending on which version you use. And there's some, the first 2 units just go through exercises using the Carol language. And I know that there's some Carol challenge problems and some puzzles. My students really like them, and they're a great way to really kind of challenge them. They're definitely more challenging than some of the exercises that are in just kind of the basic unit. And so I always use those. You can add content from other classes if you want to. Again, I know just speaking about Python and CSP, I always add in a couple of units from there's another Python course. I think it's an intro to computer science with Python. There's a unit on strings and a unit on, I think it's called extending data structures, that talks about dictionaries and 2D lists. I always, even though that's not part of the CSP content, and they're not going to be tested on it on the AP test, I think that those are really valuable ones for the students to learn as they're going through Python. And so I always add those in as well to my course. And that's just like I was saying, you can add content from any course in the catalog. You can incorporate into yours. You can also create your own content. So again, I found that the content that's included within CodeHS there's so much of it. I've always been fortunate enough to find whatever I've needed within the courses that are included in the catalog. But you also have the ability to create your own content if you want to. You can create entire modules within your course. So you can add, for example, a project or a final, if you want to create, an exam or an assessment, you can add that in as a separate module into your course. And again, all of this can be done in the assignments page as you're looking at your course. Now, there's another feature here that you can copy and edit existing CodeHS quizzes and exercises, and that's called forking. Now, I actually haven't used this, but Lori's going to talk a little bit about this. And I do want to point out this, Lori, this is a pro feature, right? Forking.
Yes, the forking is the only customization feature that is a pro feature, I think. And
yeah, all the other stuff,
yep.
Everything I was talking about, adding content, reordering the modules, deleting. I have a free account, that I use with my classes. I've actually used both the pro and the free version. I would love to have pro every year. If you can get your district to pay for it, I think that it's amazing, and there's tons of features that I would love to use, but I haven't been able to get that every year. So when I first started using CodeHS, I did have some of the pro features, but for the last, I think, gosh, since 2020, I've been on a free account the whole time. And so all of these things we've talked about so far are all free features. So yeah, Lori, I'll turn it over to you for this.
Okay, thanks, Sean. So I'm going to share my screen for a little bit. Take over Sean's. There we go. Let me shift my Zoom control. There we go. So I'm going to use my demo account to show you just a couple of these things. And just so you can see where that's at, you all will see a demo section, something like this, where mine says Lori's demo section. You'll have your own. And so you can try out any of this stuff. There's all my kiddos at varying degrees of completion. So anytime that you want to do any customization, you're going to go into the assignments tab. And I like to go to it from this toolbar across the top. You can also click it from the side. There's a few places you can go to do it, but assignments is my favorite place. And this is something you'll do in the teacher view. So once you're here, just like Sean said, you can do some of those basic things. You can move modules around. You can also come in and move lessons around, although you might want to be a little careful with that when you're doing the programming lessons. But this is super easy to come in and move around some of those quizzes if you want, just move up and down or remove altogether. I like the remove tool as a for teachers who might not have access to access controls, because you can actually remove the final exam and put it back later if you want. So little tip there. But so those are all the basic things Sean was talking about, and you can always add that supplemental content. You can add it from this bottom drop down. You can see all the supplemental content that goes with your specific course, but you can also come up here to the top and click on add. And if you, from the add button, you can click CodeHS course, and it's going to take you out to the catalog. And this is where I know Mark was asking about this, about building a really custom course. This is where how you can actually do that. You can pull in activities from any of the CodeHS courses, including all the state courses are here as well. So all of that you have access to. Since we're talking about Python right now, I'm just going to go ahead and click. What am I going to click? Let's click data science, because that is a more advanced Python course. You can actually see there is even a supplemental module here. Maybe you've got some kids who need a little help with the basic Python commands and coding. You can actually add that supplemental module into data science, but any of these can be added into any course. So you can really mix and match and make your own course. And something else that I forgot about, Sean, is that I should have mentioned, you can also, from this add button, add a sandbox program. So that means that if you are creating your own programs and you want to add those in, you can add that here. And you can add projects from the project catalog here as well. So if I click on CodeHS project, you can see all of the projects that are available in the project catalog. Now, it might be more helpful to go through the catalog first and see what's there and then add them later, but this is how you can add those into your course. Once they're in, you can rearrange them and do all of that stuff too. All of that is free to everybody. So now the part that I wanted to demo for all of you is, what is forking exactly? So forking, and that is a pro feature. Forking is when you can come into any of your activities, and let's actually find, let's see, let's go to the final exam. Let's say I really like this final exam, but I want a couple of versions of it. Maybe I want to modify some of the questions that are in it, and I don't want to create a whole new assignment to do that. So I can come to this final exam. I'm going to see if I can zoom in a little. I'm going to click on these three dots. And under Pro, I'm going to click Fork, or under Configure. Let me see if I can zoom back out. There we go. So I get this pop-up now that says, are you sure you want to fork this assignment? It tells me that the original will stay in the course, and then new assignment will be created. If any changes happen to the original, your copy stays as is. So I'm going to click on Fork. And now I have a second copy. And if you look here, I have an edit button next to it. So now I can actually edit this. Oops. My zooming back out is creating a situation for you right now. There we go. All right, no more zooming because that wasn't cool. All right, so this now tells me this is the assignment that I forked, and it's going to reflect any changes that I make. So now I can change the name. Maybe I can say that this is version 1, or I can say, add my name to it. And then I can come through here and take a look at every single question, and I can edit every question. In addition to that, I can also I can also add questions as well, maybe. There we go, there's my plus sign. So now I can delete questions and I can create new questions. And here's my brand new question, and I can add my question here. If anybody is familiar with something called Markdown to format text, you can use Markdown in your questions when you're creating those new questions. And then save those, and that saves any of the changes that you made. So this is a really cool feature. One of the ways I like to use this is you don't have to use it just with exams or the assessments. You could also come in and, oops, that one, I probably messed with this course, so who knows what's in it. You can also do that with examples or coding exercises as well. So I could fork this by 0.1.4 square. And now I can actually edit this exercise. Now, remember, this is a pro feature. The other cool thing is if you don't know Markdown and you can fork an activity, you can actually snag the Markdown that's used here. So that's kind of another pro tip as well. It helps me out because I always have to look at the cheat sheet for Markdown to make sure I'm doing it right. But now I can come through, edit this activity. I can edit the starter code. I can edit the solution code. I can configure any pro tools, and then I can preview it. The other thing that I can do here is to click advanced settings. And now for those of you who are like, I really want to mess with the auto grader, guess what? You totally can. You can come in here and tweak the auto grader all you want because this is your copy. So very, very, very powerful tool. But yeah, it gives you a lot of control. Now, I know some of you were asking a little bit, oops, and I closed my chat window, so I'm gonna take a look over here. All right. Okay, so a couple of other things that I just wanted to walk through because the forking part is pro, but I want to just remind you that you can create any activities as well, and that part is part of the free plan. So I'm going to just go to, oh, let's just pick a module, or maybe I'll make a module really quick. Sorry, Sean, I'll make this quick. All right, so we'll just say Lori's stuff. And now I can add a new lesson. More stuff. Super well names, great names, huh? There we go. And now I can add an assignment. So when I start adding an assignment, I can create a lot of different things. I can make my own quizzes, which is super helpful. And all of these things are available on the free plan as well. So you can make your own quizzes. If you've got quizzes that exist outside of the platform, you can definitely do that here or add them in here. You can also create or add your own videos. So if you have YouTube videos or videos from news sites or other resources you want to include, this is a great place to do that. Anytime I embed a Google slide deck or some other article, whether it's a web page or a Google Doc, I do that with the article link. I can create my own notes. I can create a free response for students. This is a great way to have students journal. My students always said, you can tell that Ms. G was an English teacher because I made them journal all the time. So you can do that here. And embedding is great. If you take a look in your workshop section, you're going to see that we have embedded the Padlet that we use today. This is how I did that. Anything that has an embed code should embed here. And as a side note, if you are a Google user and you like Jamboard, Jamboard does not embed in any CMS or LMS. And so, yeah, it doesn't work here either. So just a little side note, I wish it would work because I love Jamboard. And then resources as well. For coding exercises, this is going to be a great way to actually add a sandbox or an open sandbox directly into the course for your students. This is a nice tool if you want to give students an open-ended activity inside a lesson. I don't believe students are able to collaborate if you add a lesson this way. So keep that in mind. And I think Anna's agreeing with me on that or confirming that. Okay, cool. So yeah, if you are thinking, I really don't want my kids to collaborate on something, I would add the sandbox directly into the lesson in this way. Perfect. And that will shut off that collaboration capability for them. So little tip there. I felt like I was going to show you something else there. That's enough. That's enough. So does anybody have questions about any of that stuff? And if I'm missing questions anywhere. So Sally asks, is it better to embed and add activities through CodeHS or have students access things like this through Canvas? You know, it's really your preference, Sally, I would say. If your kids are used to using Canvas as part of your classroom routine, there's no reason you'd have to stop doing that. One of the reasons that I like adding all of these activities directly to the platform is because then it becomes a part of the lesson itself. And if you are doing grading there, you can actually grade right in that lesson progression there. So it's nice for me because then students aren't having to leave the platform and come back over to the CodeHS platform to do the rest of it. So that would be, but I know teachers who do both ways. A lot of Google Classroom teachers will use Google Classroom for rostering, but then if they don't have the full integration, they'll still post things in Google Classroom, which makes complete sense to me. So I would have probably been one of those teachers. I love Google Classroom. So other questions at all? Cool. Sean, I think, oh yeah, questions. Our dog has questions. I don't think we're going to do breakout just because of time, but
yeah, I agree.
Yeah. What I would say here is you've got those demo sections. That is going to be an awesome place because that's all I was doing. I was in my demo section just messing that thing up all over the place. So that's a great place to practice all of these techniques that Sean has gone over. And those are actually all set up as pro sections as well. So you can try out those activities or those forking activities. Oh yeah, we do have an existing webinar. I forgot about that. So we have an existing webinar with how to build your own auto graders. We have some really phenomenal engineers who love to share their wealth of knowledge, and that is going to be a great one for you all to check out. We'll also very soon be having some new professional learning options with CodeHS. You'll all get an announcement about that very, very soon. But we have a ton of mini PD courses available. And one that we have right now is called Creating Basic Java Auto Graders. We will be having an advanced Java Auto Grader coming out in the fall. And the other course that will be in development very soon is creating Python auto graders. That's the next one. So, and I know we've got a lot of Python fans among our CodeHS teachers and in this group. So I wanted to mention that one. That one is not ready yet. It will be in development, and we'll keep you posted. So, all right, Sean, I'm going to be quiet now.
No, thank you. That's all. No, thank you very much. Yeah, those, the auto grader features. I think Mark had a question about that. I would highly recommend checking out that workshop because it's definitely a little bit more advanced. I think you saw in the example when Lori showed through how you could actually edit the auto grader. Whenever I've messed around with the auto grader, I just kind of learned by looking at the programs that were written for the existing exercises, because again, a lot of this I kind of had to learn myself, and that really helped me get more familiar with how the auto graders work and how to add it into my own content. So the two last things that we want to talk about are using the create tool and then also the sandbox collaboration. So I know I'm just keeping track of time, so I'm gonna kind of make sure I get both of those in. So in your CodeHS account, again, on the, you've got this menu on the left, same thing, you can access the assignments, but you've got this create button right here. And this is where you can really get into making your own programming challenges for the students. So you can create your own playlists, which are series of problems. You can create your own assignments themselves, which are, you can see I have some in here. They can either be exercises or, articles, challenges, documents, whatever type you want to use. And again, there's the problem bank. Now, so with playlists, right? A playlist is basically just a combination, a series of activity or exercises. So to access that, you can, let me go back to the slides. On the playlists, right, you can search through your playlists. It keeps track of all the playlists that you've created. And again, here you can see I've created some for different like final exams or challenge problems. Now, from this page, you can, when you click on these dots, you can assign it to any of your classes. So if you create a playlist that, again, maybe you use as an assessment or a project or, a final exam, once you create it directly from this page, you can just click and assign it to any of your classes that you want to. You can, for your individual assignments, let's say you want to create a new assignment. When you click on the create new assignment, you can first of all select what type of assignment you want to create. It could be a coding exercise, quiz, practice problems, make videos. But let's say we want to create a coding exercise. You have to select the type. So let's say we want to do Python 3. Again, I know we talked before about all the different types of Python. So you can see, right, these are all the different Python types you can select. But let's say we just want a regular Python 3 program. This is where you can then go through and you can give it a title, write out a description. You can get into, I'm just going to add some text just to get through. You can add the starter code. So if you wanted the students to start with a little bit of code, you could add that in here, and then you can save and finish it, and then you can preview and see what the assignment looks like, right? So you can see the title, any text that you added, and now they've got the program right here that they can start using. Now, all of those will show up in your assignments. You can see, right, here's the one that we just created. And from here, you can assign it to a playlist. So if you wanted to, create a few different problems and then add them to a playlist, you could do that. Now, something else that I like, and again, I use this a lot when I was newer to CodeHS, because I was still learning more about the course and the type of problems. I loved checking out this problem bank. So the problem bank it contains, here, let me open this up in a new tab. So the problem bank is a way that you can sort through all of the problems that you've created. You can go through, you can sort by language type, activity type. And so it's a really nice way to easily kind of sort through and manage all of any problems that you've created from your create section. You can see here's some of like a Fibonacci problem that I created, prime factorization. So you've got lots of flexibility for creating things like playlists, the problem bank, and different assignments. Even from your assignments, you can see they start to fill up a little bit. if you want to do things like archive old assignments or manage them to move them around, you can get rid of them and clean up old stuff that you don't use anymore. Any questions on creating? Let me check the chat. I haven't seen. Any questions about creating either problems or playlists through the create section? Okay, if you do have any questions, again, just pop them into the chat.
I will mention really briefly that we do, if anybody is interested in JavaScript or creating Carol worlds, next week, Eric Magnus, another teacher trainer, will be with us talking about Indiana Carol and how he and his students both create their own Carol worlds. And so that'll be a great one to check out.
That's awesome. I did want, I forgot to mention this before I started talking about the create. I know Lori was talking a little bit about, I think the question was asked about integrating, the CodeHS into your LMS or keeping it separate. I just wanted to mention, I've used a few different, my school's gone through, we used School Loop years ago. Then we used Google Classroom. And then the last couple of years, we've been using Schoology. And I've actually never integrated CodeHS into any of them, even when they had the ability. It's a really user-friendly platform. CodeHS, it's, I usually just post my assignments in our LMS. Like, for example, I'll, tell the students, your assignment is, unit 3, lessons 1 through 4 or 1 through 3. And that's all I'll post in the LMS. And then the students just do everything directly through CodeHS. So that's how I've been using it. And it's worked very well the entire time I've been using it. So this last feature that we wanted to talk about is the sandbox and the collaboration feature that you can use. So I know we've mentioned the sandbox a few times, and just so everyone knows, the sandbox you can access right up here on your kind of main menu bar up on the top. And the sandbox is basically like a free play area for the students. They can come in here and they can create their own programs. They can select what language they want to choose. You can see all the different options. I know we talked a little bit about the differences, but you can see all these different language options that they have. And you can see I've got quite a few in here. All these, you can store all of your sandbox programs in here and search through them and sort through them. Now, the way that I like using the sandbox, I use it a lot for assessments. When I give the students, when we finish a unit or a section that's maybe 2 units that are all related, I will always do a programming assessment at the end. And I'll always have the students do it during class time, and I'll have them create a sandbox program where they actually complete it. I've done it both ways. I've created assignments that I assign and then add, or sometimes I'll just post a problem up on the projector and I'll have them just create the program in the sandbox itself, solving whatever problem I put up on the board. So I've kind of done it both ways. The other area that I use the sandbox, and this is where the collaboration comes in, is on larger projects. Like for anyone that's teaching CS principles, at the end of the year or at some point throughout the year, your students will be doing the create task, which is part of the AP exam. And it's a program that they have to create that meets some certain requirements. And they also have to they have to respond to some written questions. But the sandbox is a perfect place for them to create that program. And on the create task, they are allowed to collaborate with a partner if they want to. So, in previous years, that was always a challenge because the students would want to work on a program together, but they had their own, separate screens they had to work on. So I absolutely love this collaboration tool. that really helps allow students to work together quite easily. So when you go into the sandbox and you create a new program, which I'm going to go through here. So let's say we make a new program, and I'm going to just create a Python program. So if a student wants to collaborate on this, you can see right here on the left side of your screen, you've got this collaborate button, this little icon. Now, collaboration by default, it's disabled on your program. So all you have to do is enable it, and then you get this link here that you can share with others and allow them to collaborate. And I'm actually going to copy that. If anyone wants to see what it's like, I'm just going to post it. Oops, hold on, let me. So if anyone wants to try clicking that link in the chat, there we go. So you can see Lori and Anna already joined as collaborators, Sally. And now you can see, right, it's just like a Google Doc. I can be working on it here, right? And now, obviously, you can see with a lot of collaborators, it can start to get a little messy. But when it's just 2 people or 3 people working on it, it's an amazing way to allow students to have real-time collaboration while they're creating a project together. You can enable chat too. You know, if the students are sitting next to each other in class, obviously they can just talk to each other, but you could create a chat, and like in this situation, when we're all separate, we're all talking virtually, you can have students communicate directly through the chat as they're working on this program together. So this is again, this is a really awesome feature, and I think, you know, I think collaboration is a really helpful tool in the classroom. You know, I know when I first started teaching programming, I really was focusing on the students doing things individually because I really wanted to assess their individual skills. But kind of as I've gone through the years and kind of revisited my thinking, you know, out in the real world, programmers and engineers are collaborating on almost everything they do. And so I want to give my students that experience and that, you know, ability to do that with each other as well. So on almost every project that we do, they have the option of being able to collaborate with each other. And they just love this feature. And it really makes working together seamless for them. Just a couple things about the sandbox. You know, you can see my sandbox. It's a little, you know, it's a little messy. You've got all this, but you can create new folders in here. You know, I should probably do a better job of managing this, but you can create folders to separate your programs. I know some of my students do a great job of really organizing their sandbox well. You know, you can add things to folders, you can move things around, just like in the assignments menu or the assignments page. These little 3 dots pull up a submenu where you have all the ability to really clean this up and move it around. Let me just see if I skipped anything. Yeah, so I know I opened up a collaboration for everyone to join. If you wanted, you know, you could test that yourself if you wanted to. One thing that is important as you're going through this, here it is. You do want to make sure that you are saving your work. And that's something that I always remind the students of is when you're working on this collaboration, don't just write out a few lines and then close it. You always want to make sure that they're in the habit of saving it periodically so that their work doesn't get deleted. Let's see. Oh yeah, disabling the collaboration. So if you want to disable it, for example, you know, let's say everything's done and you don't want to make any more changes, you can just click the disable collaboration right here. And right, you'll probably get a little notice on your end, but it'll then kick out any collaborators. And now you've got a program just on your own to work on. And you can re-enable it later. If I wanted to go back and re-enable collaboration, it's there. The same link still works, and everyone can rejoin. So it's a great way to kind of toggle on and off that ability. Let's see, I mentioned the chat. Oh, so I guess you do need to enable this feature before students can use it. And so you can just go into your section settings and enable collaborative chat. And that's just within the sections. Oops. Well, you can see it right here. Sorry, my computer's being a little slow right now. If you go back to your sections, let's say I click on one, you have your settings up here, right? And this is where you can go through and enable the collaborative chat if you want to have that available for your students. Just down here, right here at the bottom, you can enable it for all students or leave it disabled. Any questions on the sandbox chat? And I know we're really at the end here, so we're not going to have time for these coding challenges, but that's always something that you could look at a little more on your own. But does anyone have any questions on that feature?
Sean,
I'm just, yeah.
I'm sorry. James did write into the Q&A asking, is your final project-based or written exam multiple choice? So I don't know what you do in your classroom.
Yeah, so I always do project-based finals. There's the two reasons I do that. I think the students seem to enjoy it. Usually, like for example, in the first semester, I'll give them it kind of models what they'll be doing for the create task. I'll give them some parameters, like they have to create a program that has X number of functions. They must use a list. They have to have a loop. Things like that. But then they can create whatever they want based around those parameters. So I tend to find that, so I like that because I think they tend to get more engaged and they like having that creativity and the flexibility. But again, also it's help prepares them for the create task that they're going to be doing later on. I always do it after spring break, right before the AP test. So they've gone through all the course content and they've got all that ability to use. But again, I think it depends on however you want to use it. Yeah. I know, oh yeah, Mark mentioned you use the history to look for cheating. Yeah, that's a great, the history is another great tool. I don't think we really mentioned it, but you can actually go in your program and under the same menu where they can have the conversation, you can click on history, and this saves, this program was just created, so we don't have much of a history, but it saves every time they save or run the program, it saves a version here. And so let me just like add something, for example, and if we save it, now you see there's a new version. So you can go back through for every program, you can go back and look through the student's history. You can see the development process, but for detecting cheating, like Mark mentioned, if you see a 30-line program, all of a sudden goes from, nothing written to the whole solution, it tells you it's probably copy pasted in there. So that's another great tool. I know we're right at 11. Are there any other questions that anyone had? Okay, well, thank you guys. Again, I know we're going to skip these challenges just for the sake of time, but we did have some challenges built in if you wanted to try those collaboratively. If you're new to CodeHS and you want to check these out, these are great challenges just to get you a little more familiar with the interface and to see what the students are going to be going through. So you can always go through and check these out. Oops. But otherwise, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. Again, we've kind of just touched upon a few of the features, but there are tons of other resources to help you get more familiar with CodeHS and get more comfortable with the platform. They've got the Certified Educator program. This is a great way to meet other CS teachers and network together. I know Lori and Anna have mentioned a couple of the upcoming workshops. I highly recommend those. That AutoGrader one sounds really, really interesting. I'm going to try to check that one out myself. You've got the course catalog, you've got social media that you can follow it on. You've got some credentials that you can earn. So here's a couple. I know they mentioned the JavaScript and the Indiana Carol. At this link, you can see the other upcoming workshops that will be going on this summer. And they continually will be adding to those as well. So I know it's everyone's, summer and we're right at the end of the time here, but if you would be able to just take a minute or two to give some feedback. I know this helps all of us out. I know Lori really looks at the feedback in CodeHS, and I love giving feedback as well. So if you're able to take the survey real quick, that would be very helpful. I think someone will drop that link. And thank you, Anna, dropped it into the chat. And other than that, I just want to thank everyone for taking the time out of your summer or your days to join us. I know, again, we've just touched upon a few of the features that CodeHS has, but again, 6 or 7 years later, there's still things that I'm learning, and it's amazing how much content and information is here. And one of the main reasons that I keep coming back and using CodeHS year after year is because my students absolutely love it. They love working with Carol. That Carol becomes like their little mascot throughout the year. They just really enjoy the platform, and they've had great success on the AP exams as well too. So, if you have any questions, make sure to post them in the Q&A or the Padlet, and we'll definitely get back to you. But thank you again for attending.
And thank you, everybody. I just want to say thank you as well. First of all, thank you, Sean. I absolutely look forward to your workshops, and we just need to do more of yours because I get so many good ideas from hearing what you do with your class. And so thank you for spending all this time with us today and sharing your knowledge with everybody. And thanks to the CodeHS team who has been answering questions and throwing in links. Anna, I don't know how you find all those links that fast. I need those skills because I don't have them. That's amazing. And thank you, everybody. We truly, truly do appreciate the time that you spent with us. And we can't say enough how much we enjoy spending this time with you. So thank you for taking this time today and joining us for the deeper dive into CodeHS. This is not anywhere near close to the end of the summer workshops that are coming. We have a lot lined up. And just a quick mention, we have tried to structure them. So if you're looking for specific topics, and we have a lot of Python teachers in this group. And next week is JavaScript week. So if you're JavaScript, even if you're not, you're going to get some ideas. So I would recommend popping into some of the JavaScript ones too. We've got some great workshops coming. Paula Medina is another one of our teacher trainers who will be doing the Getting Started with JavaScript. Amazing ideas. And she is one of the Lockheed Martin winners this year. She took three groups, I think more than that, but she had 3 groups that won one of the Lockheed Martin contests this year. And she'll be on Monday. Eric Magnus will be joining us on Wednesday, and Kent Pendleton will be joining us on Thursday for a little look at P5JS. If you haven't experienced that, definitely sign up for that. Python will be the week after that, cybersecurity, and more. And all the AP teachers out there, AP week starts July 31st. We're gonna have a lot of AP workshops that week. So I'm gonna stop talking because we are over time. Thank you again so much for spending your day with us. If you've got questions, reach out to me. You'll be getting an email from me tomorrow morning at the very latest. I will send out certificates when I walk away from this Zoom. And if you didn't receive yours from yesterday, I'll go ahead and or 2 days ago, I'll go ahead and resend those as well. Thanks, everybody. Have an amazing day, and we will see you at the next CodeHS workshop. Bye-bye.
Thank you guys so much.